I used to go.
Good evening and welcome to the Watchmen's Report. I'm Cody Higley, and tonight we're joined by our usual co-hosts, Jason Foreman and Robert Landon. And our special guest tonight is a fellow from the western expanses of Hardin County, a city councilman in the city of Kenton, Chad Miller. So, Chad, welcome to the Watchmen's Report.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing to consider that both the city of Marion and the city of Kenton, which border each other, at least their counties border each other, Marion and Hardin County, respectively, are currently going through the same home rule city charter ballot initiative. So, what are the odds of that? You know, and it'd be interesting for our viewers here in the big city of Marion to kind of learn a little bit more about what brought this initiative on in the city of Kenton, how things are going, and what the prospects for the future are with it. But before we delve into the details of Kenton's charter initiative, Chad, tell us a little bit about yourself. Are you born, bred, and raised there in the city of Kenton? What do you do for a living? Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
So, I was actually born in Marion many moons ago, back in '72. So, lived here in Kenton till I was 10 years old. My mom and dad decided they couldn't get along any longer when I was 10. So we moved to West Virginia, me and my mom and my sister. Lived down there till I was 18. Came back to town here and been here all my adult life. So for the most part, been here all my life.
Yeah, well, it's a good place to be. So what do you do for a living, Chad?
I am a supervisor at the distribution center here in town at Graphic Packaging.
Oh, Graphic Packaging. That happens to be Kenton's largest and Hardin County's largest employer, correct?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And what do you got, about 750 employees, something like that?
Yep, right at that. You're right on it, my man. You got it.
I do a little bit of research.
It was about 200.
Yeah. I do a little bit of research for every show, Chad.
I appreciate that.
So it's graphic. That was one question. I didn't look it up. I was a little bit busy, but is Graphic Packaging located within the city limits of Kenton, or is it in the county?
It is within city limits. It is actually in my ward.
Oh, the 4th Ward, huh?
Yep.
And that's another thing, folks. Marion has 9 members of council. So you have 6 wards with 1 council member elected from each ward, and then you also have 3 at-large council members. Mm-hmm. The city of Kenton, on the other hand, has 4 wards and 3 at-large members of council for a total of 7. So just a little bit of difference between, but like Kenton, Marion is a statutory city currently. Mm-hmm. So we've talked about that in the past, the differences, how we have to run everything in the city of Marion and in the city of Kenton according to the mandates or the dictates of the politicians at the State House in Columbus under the Ohio Revised Code. So now, if you would, Jason, bring up the map for the geographically challenged folks that might be in the audience, just to point out where Kenton is. Now, everybody should know, but I'm sure there are some folks out there that that do not know. So right there in the middle, you can see Marion. So the county seat of Marion County is
Hard.
the city of Marion.
Yep.
If you go down State Route 309, head westbound out of Marion County, you'll enter Hardin County. And right there in the middle of Hardin County is the city of Kenton. So very similar histories between the development of the city of Marion and the city of Kenton. Both started out kind of as small agricultural villages. And then when the railroads sprung up, beginning in the 1850s and accelerating in the 1860s, 1870s, that's when Marion grew. That's when Kenton started growing. And then once you hit a population of 5,000 people, you can petition to become a city. So you go from a unincorporated village. So if you have a population of less than 500, then you're an unincorporated village. Once you hit 500, your citizens can petition the state to become an incorporated village. That means that you're governing your own municipality. So you'll elect a mayor and a council and a town marshal, that sort of thing. But then once you grow up to that point of 5,000 people, then you can petition to become a city. So Kenton did that, and Kenton grew kind of like the same history. Marion grew a lot bigger, but a lot of similarities between the city of Marion and the city of Kenton. And historically, Chad, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Kenton hardware company was kind of the big deal back in the day, right? We're talking turn of the century up until like the 1950s.
I was
And
gonna
then
say
they
yeah
had
before. Yeah.
yeah, and then what was the other one? Was it the
Um,
international
inter-
trailer? And they made
International
like
Rail Car, I believe, was here.
rail car, rail,
Yeah.
and make
I mean,
cabooses and all kind of
yep,
other different things like
yep.
that. So again, this is all the same story. I mean, we're in the same neighborhood. We are neighbors,
Yep.
and this is rural Ohio, rural America, and the Rust Belt. So we're presented with the same challenges, and you have to come up with solutions to those challenges. Now, I want to just educate a little bit more on the background between or comparison between the city of Marion and the city of Kenton. Jason, will you pull up that one graphic that I created? All right, folks. So this is all coming from censusreporter.org, and this gives you a breakdown, kind of tell you the differences between Marion and Kenton, and also the state of Ohio. So first column there we have the city of Marion, city of Kenton, and then the state of Ohio. So city of Marion in 2023, a little bit over 35,000 people. Kenton just a little over 7,600, and the state of Ohio's approaching that 12 million, 11.785 million. Marion's a little bit more than double the size from a geographic area. Uh, Marion, as you can see, is more densely populated. So Kenton's a little bit more spread out within that 5 square miles. Median age, we're both a little bit older than the state average. Median household income, we're both pretty well under the state average. You can go a little bit further with that with the percentage of the population below the poverty line. We're both over the state average. Number of housing units, vacancy rate. You can see Kenton's, there's fewer vacant homes. They're actually doing pretty well in that respect, whereas Marion's got a higher vacancy rate than the state average. Owner occupancy, same thing. More people own their homes in the city of Kenton than own their homes in the city of Marion. Kenton's on par with the state average, so that's a good a good thing. Median value of owner-occupied housing units. If you look, Kenton and Marion are pretty darn similar, but as you can see, they're both lower, well under what the average is in the state of Ohio. High school attainment, so education, whether you're a high school grad or hold a higher degree, Kenton's doing a little bit better than the city of Marion, and Kenton's just under the state average. Bachelor's degree, both of us are, or higher, both of us are well under that 31% state average. Now, that's an important metric, and I'm sure Chad will agree with that, and we'll probably delve into it a little bit further here in a minute. And then, of course, you've got the veterans. So 9.2% of Kenton's population has served in the military. So that too is indicative not only of patriotism within the culture, but it also is indicative of fewer opportunities for certain job careers, things like that. There's a certain number of people that join the military because they're red-blooded American flag waving, I want to serve my country. There's also a good number of people that say, well, what am I going to do? I'm from this town. There's not a lot of opportunities. So I can serve in the military. I can maybe make a career out of it or serve a stint, get the GI Bill, go to college and try to improve my life. So these are all things that you want to look at. And as you can see, we kind of share even more than probably we thought in common with the city of Kenton. So I want to talk just for starters here, if you would, Chad. I noticed when you guys held that town hall on November or September 16th, I think it was brought up that there's not a good pool of candidates who reside in the city of Kenton to fill these elected positions. Tell us more about that challenge in Kenton? I mean, are you having a big problem? I know you mentioned at one point you brought up the auditor of the city of Kenton and the treasurer of the city of Kenton and pointed out that I think there was only one election since 2009 that there had been a challenger to those positions. So tell us a little bit about that.
So, I mean, even if you brought up my ballot today, I'm running unopposed. I believe, well, I know every one of the counselors is running unopposed that are running. We have some write-in ballots. That's just it. Like our auditor and our treasurer it's just unopposed. It's unopposed politics, what it really is. And, you know, people want to argue you're taking away my right to elect who I want when there's really not that competition, so to speak, of a choice. So you're not really choosing as much as you're just electing what's available. So, I mean, that's the disconnect for me as far as if somebody wants to kind of push back on you're taking away our right to choose who we want. You're just choosing who's available. And it can be said for me on my own part. I mean, I'm running unopposed. Nobody's choosing a fourth ward council member. I vote for myself. It's a done deal. I mean, that's just how it is. So more people need to get involved in city and their community. I feel I'm glad I did. For me, I tell everybody, as long as my toilet flushed and my water turned on, I had no problems. You know, once I got involved and got on council, I see so many, kind of like the wizard. You get to see behind the curtain and see the inner workings, and there's a lot to it that people don't realize.
I know. Sometimes, it makes you think ignorance truly is bliss, Chad,
For
Once
sure.
you do peek behind that curtain, you're like, good Lord, this is how
Yeah.
it's going on, you know? Um,
Yeah.
Now, so that's kind of a situation that a lot of communities, Marion's, suffering the same crisis and competency, a lack of quality candidates that reside within the city who would even be able to fill these positions. Um, and then especially if you're talking about qualify, where the Ohio Revised Code does have education and licensure, like the law director position. Um, I'm sure
Yeah.
there probably aren't that many licensed attorneys that reside in the city of Kenton either.
Right.
So these are
So,
all the same problems that we're both suffering from. So what do you think about that?
so I guess kind of the big difference for me, Cody, is obviously you guys are, I'm like I said, I watched you guys' council last night. The mayor sent in a letter for, like one, the fiscal audit and things of that nature. We don't really have that. My biggest concern is when it comes to the treasurer or the auditor, which I have no issues with either one of the persons doing it at the time. They're great people. They're doing the job. My issue is there's no safeguards, or there's no, the only requirement is to be 18 years old and a registered voter. You are running for us, I mean, obviously you guys' finances or even millions is more than ours. Ours is like a $7 million budget. An 18-year, my grandson's 21 here. He can run for that. And if he's elected, he's going to be, running a city, what is ultimately a business at a $7 million budget. To me, that was part of why I've pursued charter. Like I said, once I got into government, I come to realize a lot of things that are happening up there. I know you guys, I even heard it in your guys' meeting last night as far as the position they was trying to create, whether it would carry on through different administrations or if it would be able to be eliminated with the administrations. I believe every city, to me, it's just common sense, but that's me. Every city should go to a charter and chart their own destination or own destiny, as far as you got a city service director that could be appointed. Anybody could be appointed. There's no recourse to it. I know I've heard you gentlemen talk about vetted professionals. That job is a tremendous job, even for a city of 7,500, let alone 30,000, as far as what that person has to do. They wear so many hats. They have to be an engineer. They have to be an accountant. They have to be an attorney, or, negotiating union contracts. They have to deal with EPA. It is just such an extensive position to entrust it to be appointed is, to me, um, it just blows my mind.
Oh yeah, it's a new age. It's not, the old days. I mean, Marion's mayor was part-time until the 1950s. So that was back when government was small
Right.
and these budgets were equally small. So you could get away with having kind of the part-time warrior, the citizen politician. But when you're
Yeah.
talking about the importance and the size of these budgets and responsibilities today in this age of big government, you know, as much as a conservative like me, and I know that I think you're a Republican too, are you not,
Yeah.
Chad?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you know, as much as I would want to snap a finger and go back to the days of small government, that's easier said than done. So
Right.
tell us a little bit how, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Landon, who, again, he's like you. I mean, this is your first, you were elected in November of 2023. ran unopposed for the 4th Ward council seat. And then, Robert was the same thing. He ran, he didn't run unopposed. He actually, defeated a long-term incumbent, Democrat incumbent. But you both kind of went down the same path of looking into the charter. So tell us about your story with that, how this came to be, why you felt that it was the thing that Kenton should do. And we already talked a little bit about that, but I'm sure there's more to the story. And then we'll see what Mr. Landon has to say.
Right. So for me, obviously, this is my first term. I come in. Anything that we were asked to pass or ordinances, I don't remember exactly what we were looking into at the time, but I was trying to do my homework on it. Obviously, we all have the internet. We Google things. We do our best to make ourselves educated. I try to. Whatever I was looking into, and I wish I could remember what it was, but Charter City come up, and man, I just went down that rabbit hole, and I've never come back. It made so much sense to me. I went to our mayor. I went in and asked her. I said, "Hey, why don't we pursue charter?" And she's like, "Yes. Why don't we?" So I've had the benefit of the backing of our administration, which to me I feel is very important. If your administration, because ultimately, whatever the people decide, if they get that opportunity, they're gonna decide the role your mayor plays. That's a part of it. So we've had a mayor that's been very proactive. She just gets things done. She is one of the hardest working mayors I've noticed to ever have. If you guys have been to Kenton, I don't know if you have. Obviously, we have construction. Our downtown is tore up. We're doing infrastructure. Our sewer and water lines are being done. It's been a couple-year project. It's obviously taxing on everybody in town. But things of that nature is what should have been done 30, 40, 50 years ago in phases. We shouldn't be at this point where we're being forced to do it all at once. Mm-hmm. So that's part of when I spoke with the mayor, she's like, I just don't know that it's the right time. I agree with it. And to be honest, I'm just kind of relentless on that. I was like, well, now's not the right time. When is the right time? You don't want to be in a spot where, for me, I thought it was a good time because it's progress. We could say, hey, this is what we need to expect out of our city, and this is what we need to expect out of our administration and out of our elected officials is progress and not a regress. So if she don't run, the next mayor can go want to, maybe they want to be all parks and not worry about the EPA and this and that. So for me, it's the structure of consistency. Expecting charter is going to bring consistency in your government. No matter who you elect, any mayor can come in and have an agenda, and they can push their agenda, and they can work with the whatever the person may be, whether it's a city manager or whatnot, but they can work within that perimeter. But the city manager is, to me, just the heart of any city, any town, any city. It's got to be the consistency. And you guys know as well as I do, there is no recourse for us to get rid, as a statutory city. You can't fire the city service director if they're not doing the job. Council can hold the purse strings. If you have a retiree in there that's, collecting a pension or has enough in their 401k and they're comfortable with making nothing and they want to, dig in their heels and continue to do the job, they ultimately can until the mayor, would get rid of them. That's just the reality of the statutory to me. I know, Cody, from kind of looking into stuff you guys have done, Cody, I know you're kind of the historian of the group here. So if we look at, when statutory or when charter cities, I believe, became available, was right around the turn of the century, 1912, I think, somewhere in there.
You got it.
About the same time as cars was coming off the assembly line, the Model A's. Every one of them was the same. You wasn't getting AC and you wasn't getting, everyone was exactly the same and everybody was happy to get one. Nowadays, there's too much customization in vehicles. Our government and our city should expect that as well. We should be able to customize our towns and our government to what suits us. That's kind of the analogy I use.
That's a really good analogy, Chad. I like that. Yeah, I really like that. Instead of the what was Henry Ford's famous quote, you can buy a Model T in any color as long as it's black.
Exactly. That's my point. To me, that's what statutory city is. It's just such a rigid, one size fits all type government where we have the capability to govern ourselves and be our own identity in our own communities. And I believe every community should seize that opportunity. So
that's a great point, Chad. I appreciate you sharing that. The customization, that's a huge point for us here in Marion. Guys, does he not sound like the Robert Landon and Kenton? I mean, just the things we've been talking about the last several episodes. I mean, it's just like, spot on. Either you've been listening or we're just in sync here.
You just got to shave your head, Chad.
Right. It's happening naturally at a slow pace, but it's happening.
Well, some of our listeners might know Chad and I were talking before the show about really I have a soft spot for Kenton. My family on my dad's side, many of them are in Kenton still. My dad had lived in Kenton for a little while he was growing up. So naturally, during my childhood, I spent many weekends in Kenton visiting family, and my grandpa was married in Kenton. And so I have a deep history in the city of Kenton. I love the community. I think to Cody's point earlier about the patriotism, I mean, very, very patriotic, good old football town. They love their football, just good blue-blooded American town. And I absolutely love the community. And I'm glad that you're stepping up at this time, Chad, to do something like this, because it's just amazing how we're neighboring communities and we're doing the same thing at the same time. And we haven't talked about this. You and I haven't talked. We didn't plan this out. We didn't, we just recently met each other.
Right.
And so for our viewers, we want to clarify that this is just something that you saw a need over in your community, and you're leading the charge. So just wanted to provide that backdrop. So Chad, what would you say is your preferred form of government? Do you favor a city manager or a mayor council form of government?
So for me, I favor a city manager. Our second town hall we had some city managers came from one came from Crestline, Ed came from up a Toledo area, and Doug came from Paynesville. So these gentlemen come on, and I know it's not available online, but these gentlemen came in town on their own dime. I appreciated them coming and making the effort. They sat and just talked for maybe an hour and a half with the audience about, what their jobs do and what they entail. And obviously, most everybody, money's the issue. They're going to say, how can we afford to pay these people? Well, we're going to pay somebody. That's inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to get what you pay for. If you want to pay somebody $60,000 a year and not have any oversight into whether they're vetted or whether they're even qualified in any way, that's what you're going to get. Now, if we go to a city manager and it costs us $80,000 or $90,000, you're going to be able to vet that person. You're going to be able to hold them accountable for the job they do. And in that same regard, you may be paying that person $20,000-$30,000 more a year, but you're going to get a professional that does that, and that's going to be able to bring your tax dollars back to your community, whether it's through grants. I mean, if you don't have somebody in your community that can chase grant money, you're just going to struggle. You're going to struggle. It's out there. You got to have these people in place. We are so gifted that we have our city service director, our mayor selected. She's brought grant money in. That's money coming back to our community. We spent $2 million last year in federal funds. First time that's happened in at least 15 years. So chasing that money it's an investment. To me, it's an investment in the future. You're gonna pay this person, but they're gonna bring money to your community. They're gonna save you tax dollars by getting these grants, by utilizing low interest or zero interest loans, things of that nature that we're not going to cost us in the long term. And if people could see that, that's a game changer for me. So.
That's great. No, that's actually very, very true, because the city of Marion, with our new mayor, Mayor Collins, they have I believe she's a part-time employee, but she does enough to do all the grant writing for the city and has brought in money for the city of Marion. So, and that's been a pretty positive impact for them. I remember when I was on council before I became the city auditor, I served a term on city council, and I brought this up, and just kind of fell on deaf ears, unfortunately. And Mayor Collins is really moving that forward. I think Mayor Collins that we have here in Marion, Chad, he's actually running for our charter commission. He favors a charter, especially to tackle the situation we have with our city auditor and so on. And I think a lot of people that's running for the charter commission favor a mayor form of government, which I respect that. I'm on record of saying that I favor a city manager form of government, just like you do. But I don't think we don't have the political willpower right now with that. And so, I'm willing to compromise with the group, obviously, to at least move it forward to hopefully get a finance director appointed. I feel very strongly about an appointed city attorney, a law director, because of the lack of, a talent pool to be able to pull from our community. So we're kind of having those same talks right now. The charter candidates are favoring the mayor form of government, and I'm kind of like the lone guy out here, favoring the city manager. But this is how government works, right? We all have to make compromises to at least move the ship forward, so to speak. What did you guys hear from some of these finance directors, city managers in that meeting that really stood out to you? What would you say to maybe our people here in Marion that might be some good advice or good insights to our people here?
So for our group of people that really stood out, like I said, the biggest thing was bringing money back into the community, whether it's through grants. And a lot of the three gentlemen, they just said the majority of their job is economic growth. That's what's expected of them, and that's where they are pursuing just economic growth, whether it's industry coming in, whether it's even just housing, more housing in the community, better housing. A lot of it, the economic growth is bringing in the industry that can support, somebody wants to build a house here because they have a job that is paying them what they can do that with. So a lot of that stuff goes hand in hand, but the biggest takeaway for me was the economic growth and the just bringing the money back into the community. So I've had the great benefit of just through our process. I'm not sure how your guys' process went as far as who brought it up. I know it went through council. Our council has been great. We had a presentation. I know you guys are dealing with Ohio Municipal League, I believe it is. So we went through Bricker Graydon. They come and done a presentation. I'm so grateful that our council was receptive to the idea, and they passed it to put it on the ballot. We got tremendous, for me, the 15 people we got, I don't believe there's anybody in this community that can go to the ballot box and not look at them 15 people and say that they know 5 to 8 of them and cannot say that I don't think they can get it done. I've been blessed with being able to have 15 people that would represent and have the community's interest in best heart and getting it done.
Absolutely.
Go ahead. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh,
Go ahead.
sorry. I was just going to ask Jason to pull that list of candidates up, because that brings me to a question. You guys handled that differently than Marion. As I understand it, did city council go and recruit the 15 people, and you guys made sure that you had a minimum of 2 charter commission candidates representing each of your 4 wards, right?
Right. So a big concern for council was whether we would be able to get 15 people. And it's you guys got 23 people out of 30,000, right? I mean, you would expect there would be more interest in that, not to kind of throw it back at you guys in that regard, but they had
warranted.
So council had that concern, whether we could field that many people. I did talk to people in the community that I felt like would serve the community well and would be able to be big picture, be able to think, critical thinkers. I did go out and talk to people in the community. So as far as recruiting, I mean, you got to, right? You can't expect them to come to you. You got to get out there. You got to talk to people and make them understand where you're coming from. You got to make them have an understanding of what the charter is. People's not just going to come up and be like, oh, I want to be a part of this. What is it? So as far as recruiting, I did talk to people. There are people on our commission that I didn't. I mean, there's a handful I talked to. There was other people I talked to that didn't take out a petition, said they would, they didn't. That's just part of it. There's people that's gonna, maybe not want to get them 25 signatures. They'd like to be a part of it. They just didn't want to, and same time, maybe somebody don't want their name out there on the ballot. So there's things that people kind of have to overcome. Here I am sitting on FaceTime with you guys I'm 53 years old. I didn't have Facebook before I was on council. Me and my wife lived a quiet life on the street here. So you got, I'm coming out of my shell, and that it's not easy for everybody. So there was, if you want to call it recruiting, I guess there was some discussions. There is people on there that, once they learned of it, they took out petitions. So for us, we had 12 out of the 15 people took out petitions. The one lady, and I didn't know her, she didn't get back in town in time by the deadline to turn her petition in. So we did ask her if she would want to be on the commission. She did. So 12 of our 15 had taken out petitions. The 3 remaining, I did. I took advice from, I had fellow counselors, council ladies, gentlemen that would said, hey, I think this person would do well from my ward, and I would go and ask and, kind of explain to them what charter was. So we did make a conscious effort to fill the 3 remaining positions with at least 2 people would be represented from every ward. So it was great that it worked out that way, that we could honestly say every ward is represented by at least 2 people. I know you guys, I've seen, people want to push back that, only, I think Ward 6 maybe for you guys or something. Is that right?
Yeah, the sixth ward is heavily overrepresented. That's for sure.
Right, right. So,
Well, it's kind of interesting the way you guys handled that, and um, it's more akin to how the city of Marion handled their charter initiative back in the 1950s. Now, it was a citizen-led charter commission, but they collaborated with the city council and the mayor, so they were that citizen commission was working and discussing and things to get buy-in from the leadership. But then they went out and they actually uh, took nominations. This private citizens group took nominations, and they did the same thing where they made sure that they had representation uh, divided amongst Marion's wards. They really put a lot of thought into that part of it. Whereas it kind of sounds like what you guys kind of did.
right,
Marion, you had enough people just putting the word out there to say, hey, this is going to be happening. Go get your petitions and get on the ballot to run for charter commission. And fortunately, there were originally, I think, 28 that submitted
right. Yep,
petitions, and the Board of Elections whittled that down to 23. But there wasn't that, I guess, planning. Now it's premature point to say whether or not that was a fatal flaw or anything, but it's definitely two different approaches. So I thought when I read that, that's how you guys handled it. I was like, man, that's kind of sounds a lot more like how Marion did it back in the 50s. So
Mhm.
you've got exactly 15. So if it comes down
right,
to whether or not the people of Kenton are going to vote yes on that first part of the question, whether or not to commission or to set up the charter commission, because then there you go. So you've got your 15
right,
people. They've been vetted. Um, so it's a little bit, I don't know, it removes that question on well, do I vote yes or no on this because there's a whole bunch of city workers or whatnot that are running for the
right,
commission, and I may or may not want to support this depending on who gets on
right,
there. So
right.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, and I think it's very beneficial. I, I feel like it's just beneficial to be able to go to the ballot box. Uh, would I like to have been more people that put in? I would, but I think it's kind of also beneficial in the fact that you're going to the ballot box next Tuesday and you're going to say, okay, so here's the 15 people. Do I trust 8 of them to get it done, so to speak?
Yeah.
And as far as that goes, you can look at all 15. I feel for our community, I feel like you could look at all 15 of them and say, hey, I feel comfortable in trusting this to these 15 people. And it's a diverse group. It's from from all financial blocks, so to speak. It's from all. We have some government people involved. We have some private sector people. It's a very diverse group as far as it represents our community, I think, very well. So we have a couple attorneys in there. We have some businessmen. Our city service director, she put in for it. Our clerk of courts put in for it. So, I mean, there's a person that that can draft, that would be a great drafter of it, because that person does our city legislation as it is. So I feel like we have a really great group, and I feel good about that. So,
Chad, would you say, if let's say the inevitable outcome is it's voted down, do you think that there will still be an effort to bring the charter about in the future, or do you think it's just going to die after this year?
I don't believe it's going to die. I don't believe we can allow it to die. We just have to continue to educate. We have to continue to get people to see the benefit of it. I just don't feel like I'm just not a quitter, my man. I don't think I could let it die. You don't get nowhere in life by giving up on something that's worthwhile. So, and if you just look at the state of Ohio, maybe Cody, you have. I kind of throw this out there. I've looked up at the last census in 2020. There was only for communities from the point of where you can become a city at 5,000. I went up to 10,000 just so that we're in that median of we're at 7,500 people. There's only 20 cities left in the state of Ohio that are statutory, and Kenton's one of them. Even at your guys' size, I believe Parma is the largest city left out there that's not charter, but there's even fewer cities that you guys' size that are left statutory. It's people.
That's a good point. I can't remember where I read it, Cody, and maybe it was something we were looking at together, but wasn't there, maybe it was the National League of Cities that said that the majority of cities across this country are a charter city in one form or another. Cody, do you remember that?
Yeah, there's statistics on that. I mean, obviously there are different state jurisdictions, so some variations between that. But yeah, I mean, when you look at the data of Marion's peer cities, so populations between 30 and 40,000, there's only out of, what was it, 17, I think there's 2 that are statutory. And that's all part of this whole process of analysis, is comparative analysis, and saying, how does Marion compare to charter cities like of comparable size, whether it be Mason, Ohio, or Westerville, or Hilliard, or you name the other city. And then you look, and I know you've done a lot of this, Chad, you said during the town hall, kind of reading the different charters of these different charter cities, and you look and see there's tons of variation because, like you said, it's customized government to that unique community. And it's really, the potential is fantastic, but you also have to look at the reality of the situation on the ground today. And unfortunately, when you go through a lot of these rural Rust Belt towns, it's not just Kenton, it's not just Marion. There's a lot of evidence of just decay. So you can either continue down that path of decay and decline, and just like Kenton, not picking on Kenton either, but you guys peaked as far as your population in the 1960s. So I ran that figure. So you peaked at like 8,747 residents of the city of Kenton, and now you're down to that 7,607. That's over a 13% decline in a period of 60 years. Marion's the same way. Marion peaked, as far as population goes, Marion peaked in the 1970s, according to the 1970 census, 38,646 people. Today it's down to 35,771. That's almost 8% decline. So, and there's other examples. You look at the vacancy rate, you just drive downtown now. You see all the old factories and the buildings and things that have been shuttered for decades. So going down that same path, that same statutory path, is kind of like madness. They say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Well, that's really where a city like Kenton is, and a city like Marion is. If they remain in the statutory madness, doing the same thing, expect something different, it's insanity. Right, Chad?
Exactly. And I have people like, I I I feel like I have such a great support group for this charter. The lady, I mean, her name's on it, but the lady after our last town hall, she came up to me and she says, "Hey, I would love to help you with your Facebook page for Kansas City Charter." She's like, "I do the graphics and that's what I do." And she's like, "I feel like I could be a help." And I said, "Please, I will take any help I can get." And she has just been awesome with a lot of the stuff she puts out as far as, the change, and you can't expect change without being willing to change. We just have to get with the times. It's insanity to keep trying to expect different results doing the same thing over. And I always come back to, you got to have consistency in your structured government. You can't turn over administrations and go in different direction, whether it's every 4 or 8 years. It's just not sustainable. Even beyond that, I'm not sure about like you guys as far as council, but you guys got 9 council members. Everybody has to run every 2 years, same time. We lost one of our counselors. She passed away. Great woman. She passed away. We had another counselor. His petition to run was deemed invalid. We had another one that just said he wasn't going to run. So 3 of our counselors out of the 7 are going to be new, and I've only been on it at 1 term. So if you look at it in the perspective of even your counselors, there should be staggered. They should be staggered. You should have some consistency in your council as well, and that'll generate more interest. I think if that you can, there's going to be that opportunity to be involved in that rotating type thing. I mean, when I ran my first term, I wholeheartedly intended, this term actually, I intended to run against a gentleman, had no issues with the gentleman. It was just a matter of me wanting to be involved and wanting to get my feet wet in it. He was doing a fine job for me. I had no issues with him. I wasn't even aware he wasn't going to run until basically the petitions, everything was, done through the election board, and I realized I was running unopposed for that term. So things of that nature, you gotta have consistency, and if your whole council decides not to run, what's going to happen? The state will step in and run it until you get elected officials in there.
Right.
It's a far-fetched thing, don't get me wrong, but it's a possibility.
Yeah. And Chad, one of the things I'm looking at here right now, just for our audience, because maybe some people are watching right now and they're thinking that, well, why is the city of Kenton pursuing this? Are they in some sort of financial crisis? Because people in our community probably think that's the only reason why we're considering this right now. And we're looking at your fiscal year 2023 audit from the Auditor of State for the city of Kenton. And this is a pretty clean audit report. I mean, you folks are doing pretty well over there. And I'm looking at your net cash position. So December 31st, 2023, $5.5 million. And that's up over your 2022 net cash position of 4.8. So, what's that, $700,000 increase there? That's a pretty good increase, considering what we were talking about with being, like Cody was saying, in the Rust Belt, the job situation, and the fact that you folks have a pretty good grasp on your finances, and you're still considering the charter. So one thing I would like to ask you, Chad, is one of the things that we're combating here at Marion is this fear of is this just an attempt for a power grab? Is this just a small group of people that's wanting to manipulate things and consolidate whatever? How would you address that?
So I hear the same thing. I hear it. And to me, I think I even posted that today, like on our Facebook. Until something is right in writing, everything is speculation. To me, there is no cons to a charter until you have something that you can point to and argue, hey, I don't like this in the charter. Until that happens, there's nothing, as far as I'm concerned, that is a con. We have had the benefit of a great administration that has been financially responsible, but it goes back to what I was kind of saying earlier. Okay, so just like you said there, Robert, so we carried over, what, $500,000, but look at what we're doing with our infrastructure. That's money that's went out and has been brought back to our community. That's not money coming out of our coffers. So we're not, I hear people say, you know, they want to tax you more, and that's not the issue. The issue is not that at all. What it is creating the expectation of our government that we want consistency. We want our government working for us. Well, like you said, you know, we got the benefit of whether it's council in the past that's been financially responsible. The gentleman that is the chair, I'm on finance. Mr. Beasley's on our chair. The gentleman knows his stuff. He is a financial hawk. He keeps the administration in check with that. He does a tremendous job with our finance committee and stuff. So, and our administration knows their numbers. They know where they can go for it. I mean, that's what you got to expect in your government, is to know these numbers and to know where to go get the money, that you're not taking it out of your coffers as much. So I don't mind. I mind, I guess I shouldn't say I don't mind, because we all mind paying taxes. But I don't mind my taxes coming back to my community that I'm paying in, as opposed to any other community. I like having somebody that's out there getting that money back to our communities in that regard. So,
Mr. Miller, what's
that
your?
brings up, I gotta cut in here, Robert, for a minute. I know I brought it up on different shows, but it's something that needs to be stressed. This whole system of taxation and the way these grants are funded by the state of Ohio, that's all a product of the creation of the state income tax. And that was implemented in 1972. So you think about that. Prior to 1972, we didn't have an income tax, a state income tax in the state of Ohio. So what did that do? What does that mean? Whether you're paying 2%, 3%, whatever, that is more money that you got to keep in your household and spend at your discretion in your local community. It also meant an additional 2, 3%, whatever it was, margin for your businesses. So when the state implemented that and they start confiscating money from all these communities in Ohio's 88 counties, then where does it go? It goes to Columbus. And then Columbus says, well, we're going to be more efficient at allocating these funds in the best possible places. Well, where do the funds get allocated? They get allocated to the big population areas primarily, the influential communities. Cleveland Metro, Columbus, Cincinnati. Meanwhile, counties like Hardin, counties like Marion, you name it, all across the flyover country of the rest of the state of Ohio, they're taking our money, but we don't get jack squat back comparatively, unless you have somebody in your community that knows what the hell they're doing, that is going there and applying for these grant funds, and they're doing the groundwork of economic development, going out there and putting pressure on these politicians in Columbus and other different people and saying, hey, we need to do this in this community. So I just wanted to interject that a little bit, because that's the reality.
excuse
So
me.
we're all being robbed. And unless we're playing the game, this whole grant game, then we're getting screwed over, Chad.
And you got to have competent people that know what they're doing to get it done. You know, whether you're a charter or you're a statutory, you could be statutory and be under the framework of the state. Going to charter will not affect you in the least on what you're getting from the state. They're still going to give them communities them dollars, and you got to have somebody in your community that can get them dollars back. If you don't, another community will, and you got to bring them dollars back. And to me, if you're a charter, you control that avenue of who you got in that position that's going to do that, as opposed to a statutory. Mayor comes in, they appoint somebody that position and may not even be able to spell the word grant, but that's their position. You know, it's a reality of even a smaller community. So,
yeah. Well, Chad, we appreciate your time tonight. I know we're kind of running low on time, but we obviously want to
I could talk all night about charter.
I hear you. I hear you. I want to obviously give our esteemed colleague Jay an opportunity if he has any remarks or any questions for you.
Not really. I'm learning about all this stuff. I'm not the political guy in this. I'm kind of the tactical and technical guy. But in Kenton, I know in Marion, we're having a lot of confusion about how this goes. And there was a lot of confusion about, you know, everybody was saying that it wasn't transparent because nobody was given a copy of the charter, and they're misunderstanding. Did you have stuff like that too? Like the charter draft comes after it's voted through and the commission comes through and then it's sent out to the voters. Did you guys have stuff like that out there with that kind of mass confusion?
We sure did. I mean, obviously there's going to be, for lack of a better term, just fear mongering when it comes to it. There's going to be conspiracies, the transparency. I could not tell enough people that anything to do with it is open meeting laws requires that it be open to the public. When they have their meetings, it's going to be posted in the paper when the next meeting is. It's the transparency is there. To say it's not is you're just oblivious to the process of how government has to work in the first place, because any meeting that involves government is going to it has to be sunshine laws and the Open Meetings Act. Anybody in the community, whether it's Marion or whether it's Kenton, you can sit in and see what they're talking about. You can have input into what you feel like. You may not be on the commission, but you know, there's opportunities to have whether it's town halls, going through the process and saying, hey, we're going to have our commission come over and we're going to have a commission sit down and, you know, want to get some input on where do you feel like we should do with this aspect of it. So
basically community involvement. Yeah.
The transparency is definitely there. Even in the regard of bylaw, law requires the transparency. So to say it's not there it's just, to me, fear mongering, but that's just me.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I think if more people got involved and stayed involved in the process, I think it would go over just fine, because some people are making it sound like once it's voted yes or no and they get the commission on, it's out of the citizens' hands. And from what I can gather, I mean, I've got an amazing team of legal advisors and former cops, and I'm one of the IT people, and we got Mr. Landon and all kinds of people. We got nurses, and we research this stuff on our own in breakout rooms and chat rooms, and I don't see anything like that. As long as, you know, if you want to be involved, the community can come to these meetings and these town halls and have a say in this stuff. Yeah.
I would encourage anybody in either community to get involved. Come to it. Even come to your council meetings when they're talking about it. You know, obviously, there's going to be the keyboard warriors, so to speak, that, you know, don't come to council and they have their opinions. But the opportunities are there. It's just a matter of wanting to make your community better and wanting to better your neighborhoods, your towns, just your whole region. It's there. We just have to seize it. I know for me, when I was selling, so to speak, the charter, obviously we all know a charter is a constitution for your city. I sell it as the 15 members are going to be our founding fathers, and somebody's going to be able to put their John Hancock across the document there somewhere. So the 15 members get the benefit of being our founding fathers, so to speak, if it goes through. Same for Marion. Your name's going to be attached to what comes about from it. So
Yeah.
Amen, Chad. Now, before we go, Jason, pull up that Facebook group. That way folks can, I know you brought it up before. Now, do you run this group, or are you a co-administrator of this group?
I am an administrator. If you go back and look, I think it got started back in November of maybe last year. We had Bricker Grading coming. I had a young lady at that time. She started it for me. Like I said, I haven't been on Facebook until I became a counselor. So my Facebook is it's in its infancy, to say the least. But
Hey,
yeah, go ahead.
You've got some good following. You've got some good information on the page. I was kind of browsing, checking it out earlier today. So I encourage anybody out there, if you're in the city of Kenton or the city of Marion, because it's all the same information, and we have so much in common in this initiative and our backstories and history that I think that you'll find some good relevant information either way. So be sure to visit this this Facebook page and educate yourself on the charter. So, Chad, I'd like to thank you so much for joining us tonight on the Watchmen's Report, and best of luck. We're a week out until
We
the
are a
big
week
day.
out.
Yeah.
A week out, folks. So make sure that you vote, and I'm sure that if you are in the city of Kenton and you have questions, I'm sure you can reach out to Mr. Miller, and he'd be more than happy to assist in any way that he can. So,
Yep.
Mr. Miller, once again, thanks again. And for Robert Landon, Jason Foreman, I'm Cody Higley, and this has been the Watchmen's Report. Tune in tomorrow night when I believe that we're hosting, as long as we get confirmation.
I'm not sure yet. If not, we're going to do one of our little team ones, probably on
we'll have a show, but as long as he confirms, it'll be Councilman Ronald Prater, who's running for re-election in the 6th Ward. If Mr. Prater cannot join us tomorrow night, then stay tuned for ever more excitement on some other topic from the Watchmen's Report. Have a good night.
Have a good night.